Welcome back, and there are just so many ways of buying gold. It's e-gold, digital gold, ETF, sovereign gold bonds. But Mr. George, this question is to you. What age group do you still see buying gold? Bridal jewelry is one part of it, but what age group would you say is interested, or are millennials coming here back as well? And what geographies for you as well seem to be doing better?
Maybe 18 to 25 group, they are buying for small items, for the daily wear items. What I said is the wedding purposes and all, there is bulk purchases which we have observed. Another thing which I wanted to point out here is why the business volumes or revenues are going up for the organized players is we are observing a huge shift of business from the unorganized to the organized sector now. So that is why everybody is experiencing good sales during last year and this year. There is a shift is taking place very fast on account of the implementation of HUID, and hallmarking has made compulsory for any items above 2 grams. It's compulsory now. So we are observing a fast shift of business from the unorganized to the organized sector.
Mr. George, also, we've seen store expansions, we've seen, more stores being opened up. Would you say that's yet another sign of expectation that the demand will continue higher?
Our policy is to have a consistent growth track record to maintain. So in our case, for a revenue growth of, say, 12 to 15%, we need to open 10-12 stores in a year, and we have to refurbish our existing shops. This will assure us a revenue growth of around 15%. We are following that strategy. That is our business strategy. So if number of shops are open, whether that is translating into more revenues, we are not sure. We are concentrating on more sales in our existing shops by giving a better shopping experience to our customers by renovating and refurbishing these shops. At the same time, we are opening 10-12 shops to ensure that we are achieving our business targets.
Another area, Dilip, is the sovereign gold bonds, and the last tranche saw a record buying. 100 tons is what we've seen being accumulated over a period of time from 2015 to 2023. This could have come in the way of jewelry as well. Do you see sovereign gold bond as a competition, or do you see that the people who are buying that is a different segment, or do you see gold being bought in any segment or any way is good news?
See, there are two things to this, Manisha. The first thing is that the gold sovereign bond, right from the start, when the government started this entire scheme, the process has been very slow, and the quantity which has formed over the years, it's like more, as you rightly mentioned, it's almost few hundred tons, and the people who are investing is in sovereign bonds. They have their own advantages and disadvantages. I feel that there are little bit disadvantages for them because they can't encash before this 5 years term, at least minimum, getting over. So I don't find much of people moving into sovereign bond. There have been a lot of various forums in which we had discussed about this, where we should ease out this scheme little better so that the people invest more on that. But as you mentioned, anything in form of gold is always a cheer for the crowd. And I would like to repeat this that come what may during certain seasons, or especially when it comes to a marriage or a festive, there is buying of gold. That happens more in the form of jewelry and less in the form of any of the digital gold.
Well, that point is well taken. I want to come to each one of you with one question and a figure answer, if you may. Colin, first to you then. We talk about Indian demand growth, and we talk about the second half of this year, the last quarter, even more importantly, and because there's Christmas and New Year as well coming in, and that spillovers to wedding season and Holi, and the gold buying continues. But what would you say is the Indian gold demand growth that we see? Because if you look at the import numbers, we continue with that 700, 800 tons. The recycled gold this year has been a headline as well.
I think, in terms of volume, if we see a 5 to 10% growth and value another 5 to 10% growth, we're looking as an industry at between 15 and 20 overall. which I guess for a consumption economy and with an industry which is competing with several other industries for a share of the consumer's wallet is excellent. And I would just like to address one more point over here when you came to the sovereign gold bond thing is if you look at our category in gems and jewelry, the fastest growing category we've seen in the last, I would say, 1 to 3 years is fast fashion and lower entry level points. So that's where the consumer is really buying. And if you take any organized or unorganized jeweler, that's where he's spending a lot of money on his inventory. So we're really not competing with sovereign gold bonds as far as that is concerned, because that's been the fastest growing category anyways for our industry.
All right. Dilip, what's your sense? What's the kind of demand growth that you see for the jewelry as a sector?
As I mentioned, if you're asking me about for the next 6 months, let me talk first about the gold price, because being the bullion head, I've been very closely monitoring the market. So I feel that the price, for all good reasons, would remain at the higher levels at 1900 to 1950 levels. And rupee, I don't find any much of strengthening of rupee at this point of time. So all put together, the price should remain stagnant at this level, and maybe a little bit on a higher side in coming months. But having said that, due to the high demand during festive seasons, we are anticipating a good sale, maybe around 20 to 30% increase in our overall sale.
Okay. Mr. George, what's your sense? You've given us a number of 15 to 20% already, but what is the demand growth that you've seen in India over the years?
Yeah, as I said, the demand, if you can see the gold, as far as the organized players are concerned, we are seeing a shift of business. Probably that can be one of the major reasons everybody is recording a revenue growth of 28-30%. So this is likely to continue because some study it is said that the organized players stake is going to be around 32%. If you look at early 2000, it was hardly 2%. So whether fresh demand is coming up or not, that is the import of gold is coming down. So we are not sure whether fresh demand is emerging or not, but the organized players are doing good business, maybe on account of shift of business from the unorganized to the organized sector. That is our view.
A last set of questions, and I would want to come to each one of you for this one as well. Colin, let me start with you yet again. Gems and stones, natural diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, where are we looking a bend on?
We are not getting into this or that. It's always going to be this and that. There's going to be equal, demand for natural, lab and gemstones across the board. Our Indian consumer has become very evolved, very mature, and he or she know actually that they want a little bit of everything.
All right. Dilip, little bit of everything?
I totally agree with Mr. Shah. There's quite a bit of awareness which has come in the market, and they decide on what they want to buy. So I totally agree with them.
Mr. George, would you agree with that as well? There's a bit of everything, and there's money coming in, and yes, people are experimenting.
Yes, I agree with them.
All right. Another thing, and Colin, let me come to you with this one. When we look at the kind of demand that seems to be coming in from the Indian markets and the exports as well, what are the newer markets? We've seen so many B2Bs, so many exhibitions, so many great numbers coming in from all of these. How are we approaching this?
The newest market, I would say, globally for any kind of consumption, even for India, is Africa. So that's definitely, and from Dubai, especially after we've done the FTA, we are seeing all the African countries come into, some amount of prosperity after being not so prosperous for many decades. So we're definitely looking at Africa as one big market. Besides that, of course, you have the BRICS nations, which are only getting larger. And we're really hoping as an industry that besides the new markets, we need a fresh lease of life in US and China, which continue to be the main markets, but they've been sluggish over the last one.
Mr. George, what would you say is desirable in the Indian markets right now when you look at policies, the FTAs, the work that's being done?
The Indian market demand we are talking about, I have not heard.
What would you say that is desired by jewelry as an industry from where we stand?
See, jewelry as an industry is growing very well, and it will continue to grow well, at least for the next so many years. That's what I can say at this point of time, because these lot of restrictions are coming by way of what we feel is the organized players will continue to do well. The unorganized players will slightly weed out on account of all these new HUID things and all which are happening. So the demand for gold is in India is continue to be there for many years to come. That is what we feel.
Dilip, export via courier is something that we saw newly launched in. How would you read into that?
Sorry, Manisha, I didn't hear you properly. So sorry, you were asking me something.
Yes, I was asking that export via courier is yet another thing that we saw start to begin. I mean, I know the industry has a big list and ask from the regulator, from the authorities. Export via courier, how would you look at that?
Well, that's a very good new initiative by GJPC and by the government. I mean, I'm sure since we do we are a net retail sale or retail and exporter also at some time. Few quantities we do export to our overseas. So this would be one of the mediums we should be looking at. I mean, maybe in the coming months will prove what kind of quantity we will be doing through that.
Oh, well, absolutely. It's the first one and a lot of hopes hinged onto that one as well. But gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us and thank you for spotting all of those questions very well, Colin, Dilip and Mr. George. Well, clearly all hopes hinging on to and banking onto the festive cheer that we are into right now and only grows larger in noise and in numbers as we get towards Diwali there. But with that, it's a wrap for this edition of Commodity Champions. Thank you for watching.